Halloween night had always been a big deal at our house. We lived in one of those quiet suburban neighborhoods where every porch light was on, and kids ran around in costumes long after dark. My wife Megan had decorated the yard with fake tombstones and orange lights, and our son Ben was halfway through his candy haul when the storm started. It wasn't supposed to rain that night, but by 9, thunder was rolling over the hills and the power went out with a loud pop. The whole house fell silent, except for the sound of rain against the windows. We lit a few candles, found the flashlight, and settled in the living room. Ben was disappointed he couldn't finish watching his monster movie, and Megan was scrolling through her phone trying to get a signal. I remember joking that at least we were getting an authentic Halloween atmosphere. Dark, quiet, and creepy. That's when I noticed it. Through the window that looked out toward the backyard, I saw a faint glow. The basement window was lit. It shouldn't have been. All the power was out, but there it was, a steady, pale light glowing from below ground. At first, I thought maybe I was imagining it, or maybe lightning had reflected off something. But the light stayed on. Megan noticed too. "Did you leave something plugged in down there?" "No," I said, already standing up. "Everything's on the same breaker." She frowned. "Maybe it's the backup outlet, the one your dad wired years ago." I shook my head. "That outlet's been dead for years." Ben, sitting cross-legged on the floor with his candy bucket, looked up at us. "Maybe it's a ghost," he said with a grin. I smiled back, but something about that light didn't sit right with me. "I'll go check," I said, grabbing the flashlight. "Wait," Megan said. "Let's just leave it until the power comes back." It's probably nothing, but I couldn't. Something about it was pulling at me. Curiosity, maybe, or instinct. Either way, I opened the door to the basement stairs and started down. The steps creaked like they always did. The smell down there was damp and familiar, like old paint and dust. I moved the flashlight beam around the room, but the light wasn't coming from any lamp or bulb. It was softer, diffused, coming from the middle of the room. And there, standing in that glow, was someone. For a moment, I thought it was Megan. Same height, same dark hair. But when I called her name, the figure didn't move. It just stood there, turned slightly toward me, face in shadow. The flashlight flickered, and I reached up to tap it. When the beam steadied, the figure was gone. The light went out with it. The whole basement went black. I froze listening. The only sound was the rain above and the faint creak of the floorboards. Then, footsteps. Not mine. Soft, slow ones, moving across the floor toward the stairs. I turned and ran up, 2 steps at a time. When I burst into the kitchen, Megan was standing there holding a candle. "What happened? You okay?" I don't know. I thought I saw..." Before I could finish, the lights flickered back on. Power restored. The TV came alive with static, and the refrigerator hummed to life. Everything seemed normal again, except the basement door. It was wide open now, though I could have sworn I'd closed it behind me, and there was water on the floor. Muddy footprints leading from the door toward the back hallway. Megan followed my eyes and frowned. "Did you go outside?" "No," I said slowly. "I didn't." But the prints kept going, across the kitchen tile, toward the back door. That's when someone knocked. 3 slow knocks on the glass of the back door. Megan jumped, and Ben gasped. I turned, heart pounding. Outside in the rain stood me. or someone who looked exactly like me. Same clothes, same muddy shoes, same flashlight in his hand. His hair was plastered to his forehead from the rain, and he looked pale, almost grey under the porch light. He was staring straight at us through the glass. Megan whispered, "What the hell?" The man outside raised a hand and knocked again. "Meg," he said through the glass. His voice was muffled but unmistakable. "It's me. Let me in." Ben grabbed her arm. "Mom." I couldn't speak. I was still standing in the middle of the kitchen, staring at myself. The one outside said, "There's someone in the house. It's not safe." Megan turned toward me, the one inside. "What's going on?" I took a step back. "I don't know." "Meg," the voice outside said again. "That's not me." "Open the door." Her eyes darted between us, panic setting in. The figure outside started pounding harder now. "Let me in," Ben began crying. "Make him stop." Megan's hand shook. "Tell me something, only you'd know," she shouted. The man outside pressed his forehead to the glass. His voice cracked. "Ben's first word was car. You cried when you lost the ultrasound photo. You dash. He stopped, looked straight at me. "You shouldn't have gone down there." The lights flickered again. For just a split second, everything went dark. When they came back, the man outside was gone. Only the rain was left, falling steady and cold. Megan turned toward me. Her face was pale. "What did he mean?" I didn't answer. I just stared at the basement door. It was closed now, completely shut. I walked toward it slowly, feeling that same cold air seeping through the cracks. My hand was shaking as I reached for the knob. From behind the door came a faint sound. One single knock, soft, hollow. From the inside. I took a step back. Megan grabbed my arm. "Don't open it." We packed a few bags and went to her sister's for the night. When we came back the next morning, the house was quiet. Nothing looked out of place. This happened about 4 years ago. I got invited to a friend's Halloween party. I didn't have a costume, and I didn't want to spend much money, so I stopped by this old thrift store a few blocks away. That's where I found it. A scarecrow costume. It was hanging by itself on a hook, with a faded plaid shirt, burlap gloves, and a full head mask. The kind made from rough brown fabric with a sewn-on smile and button eyes. It looked old, but kind of cool. Creepy in the right way. $10. I figured, why not? When I got home, I hung it on the back of my bedroom door. The thing smelled like damp hay and basement, but once I put it on later that night to test it out, it actually looked great. I remember turning in front of the mirror, laughing to myself. The mask was tight around my face, and I could barely see through the buttonholes. That's when I heard it, a whisper, faint, like someone talking softly right next to my ear. At first, I thought it was coming from the hallway, but when I lifted the mask halfway off, it stopped. I lowered it again, and there it was. Just this tiny, raspy voice, so close I could feel it vibrate against my cheek. It was saying something, but I couldn't make it out. I took the mask off completely and set it on the bed. I waited. Nothing. The apartment was quiet again, except for the faint hum of the nail dryers downstairs. I tried to laugh it off. I even told myself it was probably just air moving through the fabric. Still, I didn't wear it again that night. The next evening, I came home from work around 7. The costume was still hanging on the door, but something was off. The mask wasn't facing forward anymore. It was turned slightly to the side. Now, I could have brushed that off too. Maybe it shifted when I closed the door. But I swear, the button eyes looked darker, like the black stitching had bled out a little more. Anyway, the Halloween party was that weekend. I didn't want to freak myself out, so I grabbed the costume, stuffed it into a bag, and decided I'd deal with it later. That night, though, I couldn't sleep. Every time I started to drift off, I swore I heard that whisper again. But this time, it wasn't coming from inside the mask. It was coming from the closet. A slow, dragging sound, like burlap sliding against the wall. And then, whispering, faint but steady. I sat up and turned on the lamp. The closet door was cracked open, and from that dark gap, I heard my name, Lena. I froze. My throat went dry. Lena. I stood up, took one step closer, and the whisper stopped. When I opened the closet door, the costume bag had fallen from its hook. The mask was lying half out of it, face down on the floor. I told myself I was just tired, picked it up, zipped the bag, and shoved it under my bed. But that was a mistake. Halloween night came. The power went out in my building around 10 p.m. because of a storm, so the party got cancelled. I was sitting alone on my couch, candles lit, bored and half asleep. And then I heard it again. From the bedroom, that same whisper. Only this time, it wasn't faint. Lena! It was clearer. Closer, I walked slowly down the hall. The candle flame flickered as I got closer to the bedroom door. The whispering stopped. But then, from under the bed, "Put me on." I nearly dropped the candle. It wasn't my imagination. I heard it, low and clear. "Put me on." The bag under the bed rustled like something moving inside it. I took a step back, then another. The voice changed tone, softer, pleading. "Lena, please." I ran, grabbed my keys and bolted out the door. I didn't even bother putting on shoes. I went straight to my friend Danny's place and stayed there till morning. When I went back the next day, my apartment door was open, the lights were off, and on the couch, sitting upright, was the scarecrow costume. The mask was pulled down perfectly over the shirt collar, hands resting in its lap like someone had dressed it and sat it there. And from inside the mask, I heard breathing. I took it outside and dumped it in the dumpster behind the building. But here's the thing. Every Halloween since then, I hear it again. Just after midnight, a faint whisper from outside my window. "Lena, put me on."